located in southeast Wisconsin. Come discover Racine County. Plan your visit today at visitracinecounty.com.
We're getting levels all right. Hello? Oh, there we go. Check. Okay.
Okay.
We're good.
All right. There we go.
All right, there we go. Welcome back to Talking 262. I'm Arnav Pokhrel, Karsten Luedtke, Paige Baird with us. Paige, good to have you on here. Fresh off of a draw with Bavarian United SC in a game which you scored the game-tying goal.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Paige, great to have you here. A returning player for RKC Third Coast. As we get into our show, it's me, Karsten Luedtke, Paige Baird, talking about RKC Third Coast. We're going to go through the women's division results from last week. Start off the week with, on June 2nd, I should say, Chicago City, Minnesota Aurora, draw 1-1. Monday night, River Light takes down RKC 4-0. Then on Wednesday, it was Chicago City taking on Chicago Dutch Lions. Chicago City won 2-0. And then we get to Wednesday night, away in Milwaukee, 1-1 between RKC Third Coast and Bavarian United SC. Paige, you didn't start the game, but you come on at, I believe it was halftime you came on. And what was the message from Coach Berg to you at halftime when he put you on?
He was basically said, you know, to bring something onto the field and change the game. And I think that the subs that he put in, you know, I think we got the job done. So, but the team played great. It was a good performance.
A great game, and I want to take you to that 67th minute. Ball played in to Jaden Masters on the right wing. She gets there, and then you make a run into the box. You get away from your defender. What were you seeing there as soon as that ball comes in from Jaden?
I was like, please trap it. I was so worried that I was going to have a bad touch. And once I trapped it, I was like, all right, I have to finish this. But no, I saw the ball coming in. I'm like, this is it.
Right.
So
for you, I mean, what's that emotion like? As soon as you put that ball in the back of the net, you didn't score last year, right?
I did not, no.
So 450 minutes last year, you didn't score.
Yeah.
Now you come in this year, and a couple games into the season, you put one in the back of the net. What was that feeling like for you?
I was very excited, but it was great to celebrate with my teammates, just because, like, I feel like, I don't know, like, it was coming in the last couple games. I was so close, and then I had it, and I was very excited, but also relieved.
And finally getting that point in the standings, you know, a couple of rough games, you know, that away game at Rochester, up 2-1 at halftime, falling 3-2.
Yep.
What's it like to finally get off the board this season, get that first point in the standings?
I think it was really good for us because I think we're gaining in confidence and working more as a team and getting to know each other, and I think we're just going to keep getting better from here. So.
Keep going on in the divisional side of things. Last night, Minnesota Aurora took on Rochester. Aurora won 2-1 in a close game. And then tomorrow, we've got Dutch Lions away at Aurora University down in Chicago. I mean, how excited are you, first off, to be back in Chicago, a fun place to play, a great stadium at Aurora University, but also, you know, another chance to keep the momentum going against Dutch Lions.
I actually won't be there.
That's great. I mean...
But I will be watching the film and supporting.
Okay. Well, hey, that's good to know. That's good to know for us here. But tomorrow continues a busy day in the Heartland Division. Chicago City plays away at Bavarian United. We do this thing where we predict every game, me and Karsten, that's not involving RKC. On the season, I'm 10-3. Karsten is 7-6. our predictions for this one align. I think Chicago City has been one of the teams to beat, and they draw against Aurora. They play well against River Light. They get a late victory against River Light. We're both picking Chicago City. I think that's a pretty one. That's one that's pretty set in stone. And then last week we also had the River Light and Aurora prediction. I predicted a draw. I think they drew in Chicago, and I think it'll happen again in Minnesota. You've gone with River Light, and I mean, you look at that Aurora performance last night. It wasn't their best performance. Only a 2-1 victory against Rochester, a team that went 1-11 last year, and is 2-3 this year. But I think you've said it before. You're very confident in River Light being a new team. So talk to me about what you thought about in that game.
The River Light game?
Yeah, the River Light game.
All right, yeah. I don't know. I thought it was good.
You thought it was good? All right, fair enough. I mean, it's a bold prediction for sure. I don't know if you want to predict these, Paige. You don't want to give your opponents bulletin board material. But, I mean, two teams that you've already played against in Aurora. I know you didn't play in that Aurora game, but you watched it. You saw the River Light game, obviously, that you were at. Those are two teams that have really set the standard this season in the W League and, have a lot of talent, deep rosters, and also just big organizations in general. And, what's it like just to see – I know you've seen the pictures from the Aurora game where they've got 6,000 fans. The River Light games, they pack the stadium at Aurora University. What's it like to just have, see the support in women's soccer, not just in, Chicago or in Minneapolis, but just like throughout this Midwest region?
It's crazy. I went to the Minnesota Aurora game last year, and I mean, there were so many people, and I just think it's great that, USLW is bringing in such a big fan base. It's really exciting, and it's definitely growing just from like last year being in it to this year. I mean, how many more teams they've added. So I think it's pretty cool, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen next year. Yeah.
And we'll keep going now to the men's side. Pretty short week last week in terms of men's games. On Tuesday night, we had Bavarian United take down RKC 3-0 in a tough game. On Wednesday night, so the same night that RKC drew with Bavarians in the women's side, Minneapolis City pulled off an upset for the ages, taking down Thunder Bay, the division winners last year, 1-0. And then tonight, we've got two big games. St. Croix takes on Bavarian, and Thunder Bay takes on Rochester. Me and you agree on Thunder Bay beating Rochester. I think they come back from a loss with another victory in Minnesota. They're able to stay down there in Minnesota after playing Minneapolis City. But then on the St. Croix and Bavarian side, we differ a little bit. These are two teams that we've seen play at RKC in the recent weeks. St. Croix was really physical. That 2-0 win against RKC on last Saturday. Bavarians just kind of played a complete game throughout. That one was the game that got rained out a little bit. We delayed that one a little bit as well. I've gone with Bavarian United. They're atop the league. They're atop the division right now. You've gone with St. Croix. So what was your reasoning behind picking St. Croix in that one?
Well, I feel like they're both similar teams in the way they play, and they got good play style, but like you said, I like the physicality of St. Croix. I like the way they play.
So Karsten rocking with St. Croix. That game's tonight at 7 p.m. It's at Bavarian United, so they'll be streaming live on Sports Engine. Now we're going to go into the opponent previews. Paige, I know you're not going to be there tomorrow against Dutch Lions, but we'll talk a little bit about them. They're 0-4 on the season. They lost to Aurora and River Light 8-0. They lost to Bavarian 7-2. They followed it up with a 2-0 loss to Chicago City recently. They've got a freshman All-American at the D3 level from Calvin University, and Lucy Iverson. She leads the team, 363 minutes played. But for you, obviously not being there, I guess, what's the momentum like? Now that you've got 1 point on the board, and you go away now to a team in Dutch Lions who hasn't posted the greatest record this season, what do you think, that momentum carrying on is going to be like for this RKC team?
I think that we played really well, and I think we're hungry for a win. So I think we're going to bring home a win.
Perfect. And then on Sunday, we travel away to Minnesota for the men's side. They take on St. Croix. They beat RKC 2-0, and both goals scored on set pieces, and then they just kind of played a lot of defense. And Karsten, you mentioned it, they're a physical team. They love to get involved and get physical. St. Croix is 2-1 on the season, and like we mentioned, they play tonight, so it'll be a good test to see how they play tonight and how they play on Sunday. And then we've got Bavarian United at home on Tuesday. I mean, we played Bavarian last week, and now in a pretty long season, you get the same team twice in a week. Do you think that benefits you guys, or would you rather have played them maybe a little bit later on?
Located in southeast Wisconsin, come discover Racine County. Plan your visit today at visitracinecounty.com.
On. Check. That should be good.
Located in southeast Wisconsin, come discover Racine County. Plan your visit today at visitracinecounty.com.
Check. Hey, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
We're back on Talking 262. I think we're dealing with some audio issues, but now we're good as we continue to push through on episode number 5. Paige Baird alongside Karsten Luedtke. I'm Arnav Pokhrel. We got to talk a little bit now to you, Paige, about, just playing for RKC, what that decision was like for you. So first off, I mean, from your youth soccer up to now, like kind of walk us through your soccer journey, where you've played at leading up to now with RKC.
So I was in rec soccer up until 7th grade, and my mom was my coach. So that was awesome. So then in that same kind of program, I decided to go select 7th grade year. And then after that, I spent 2 years at FC Wisconsin ECNL, 8th grade and 9th grade year. And then now I play for Eclipse in Chicago.
And so what is Eclipse? It's a select club, right? And
Yes,
you're in ECNL?
ECNL, yep.
So yeah, what's that experience been like for you with Eclipse?
I love it. It's a long drive to practice, but it's worth every second of it because my teammates are great, coaching's great, and I'm excited to go every day.
What went into the decision to return to the USLW League this season?
I just had such a great experience last year with it. I mean, playing with older girls. I'm always looking to get better every second I can. So playing with older girls definitely was part of my decision making to not play high school, and so I can just keep getting better.
So, last year with RKC, what were some of just like your favorite moments with the team last year? I'm sure they kind of influenced your decision to come back is because of how much you enjoyed it last year. What were some of your best memories from last season?
I remember, I feel like the team definitely, because like last year we went to Minnesota Aurora, and we drove ourselves, and I went with my teammates. very small car. I was in the middle seat. It was a 5-hour drive, and we made a lot of memories, especially when you're driving back at like 2 in the morning. I just think the team really makes it fun to show up all the time. So, yeah.
How does the W League differ from club soccer?
Um, More aggressive, just because I think that they're older. And like a lot more power when it's like long balls or shooting, or just because they're college players. So
Yeah.
that's definitely different.
So you came in last year having just finished your freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
You just finished your sophomore year now, but one of the youngest player on the RKC team for 2 seasons now. Do you look at that as kind of like a challenge? Like, hey, I'm playing with girls who are collegiate athletes and I'm playing well, or is it just kind of, hey, it's just how the dice kind of rolled for you? It's just kind of how the cookies crumble.
Definitely last year I was a little more intimidated by it. But this year I kind of knew what I was getting into, so I'm just kind of like, I'm just gonna do what I can and try and make an impact.
And so what's that week for you like when you're in the kind of like right now when you're playing with your club team and you're trying to manage playing for USLW? How do you kind of flip yourself between the two, where I'm sure it's 2 different game styles. You're working with 2 different coaches, you're working with 2 different sets of teammates. So what's that like for you mentally? Like, you have to work with your club teammates and then you got to flip it over and work with your RKC teammates. What's that like for you?
I mean, it's been a lot this week because it was our last week of school. So that was, I feel like I always try and bring my best self to practice, and I always give 100%. So it's not too challenging for me to switch because, I don't know, practice means a lot to me and I'm going to do whatever it takes. So it's not too hard. It's definitely different, like, coaching styles. But, they're both great, and I don't know, I learned to adapt pretty quickly, so. And
you mentioned that Aurora trip last year. Obviously you weren't there this year, but it's kind of the same thing, so many fans in attendance. What do you remember as, last year, first year with RKC, first year that RKC exists, from that Aurora game, 6,000 fans in the stands? What kind of stood out from you from that game?
I remember hearing a lot of noise on the field. There was a lot of like drumming, there was chanting. It took me a while to get used to all the people because, it's kind of hard to stay in the moment when, you see yourself on like a screen and you're like, oh, that's me. But no, it was definitely a big life experience and I'll never forget it.
And for you, we were talking about this a little bit before, but now that kind of college search comes up, and so in the next coming weeks that recruiting cycle opens for you in 2026. How excited are you just for those experiences now that you've kind of established yourself in the W League and through your ECNL side? How excited are you for that recruiting window to start opening up and start to get a look at whether it's post-secondary education at a college and getting to play soccer alongside that?
I'm super excited because I feel like we're doing all this training and college is the main goal, so it feels kind of surreal that it's coming now because it's been so many years of like training and like how do I get noticed and how do I reach out to schools, and I feel like it's still kind of in this transition moment, but I'm just really excited for it to start.
Yeah. And I want to take you away from RKC now and back to Eclipse with your ECNL side. What's been your favorite trip that you've gone on with your Eclipse side? I know you guys are always at showcases, at these tournaments every week. What's been your favorite trip with Eclipse?
Oh, there's so many. I love the showcases because it's far away and it's usually nice weather, although we went to Dallas and it was freezing. But it was fun because then we always go like swimming afterward. So probably, there's just so many moments of just team bonding and like being on the same plane. That's always fun.
Right. So final question while we have you here, Paige. What's the next couple of years like for you now that you get into recruiting, you're getting into, playing with the W League for a couple more years maybe, and now you start looking at colleges, how are you planning on, managing all of these different things that are kind of flying at you over the summer, over the school year? How are you preparing yourself for those moments?
I practice a lot. So it's a lot of training, but it's also about keeping my body fit and eating healthy and looking after my body and taking mental days, if I'm stressed or whatever. But I think that's very important, and that definitely is going to help when everything is coming all at once.
And I know it's a final question, but one more for you. Have you thought about what you're going to study in college at all?
Soccer. No,
That's not.
I have no idea. I do like school though, so it'll definitely be something maybe science related or English related.
Science or English, gotcha. So, they say student athlete, athlete student,
Mhm.
one and the same for you. But we're going to keep pushing on because we've got our look around the leagues brought to you by Carthage College. Carthage College has their annual Firebird Classic golf outing on June 24th at the club at Strawberry Creek. Visit athletics.carthage.edu for more information on that. But the W League schedule picks up a little bit this next coming week. We had 3 games in this last week, Paige. I know you were only at a couple of them, but this schedule continues to push on. How do you manage yourself now? This week you've only got 1 game, but like this past week with games after games, and then you've got practices on top of that. What's that mentality like for you? How are you managing yourself in those busy weeks?
Just trying to focus on one thing at a time. And you think about too many things, it can be overwhelming, and you just gotta focus on the task at hand.
So this week in the W League Heartland Division, we've got Rochester taking on Riverlight on June 10th, Chicago City taking on Chicago Dutch Lions on June 11th, RKC and Bavarians on June 11th as well, like we mentioned earlier. And then on the 13th, Riverlight, Bavarian United. And then closing out the week on the 13th as well, Rochester takes on Aurora. Me and Karsten, we're going to run through our predictions here. So Rochester, Riverlight, I've gone with Riverlight. So have you.
Yep.
Chicago City and Chicago Dutch Lions, we both picked Chicago City there as well. We don't predict RKC games as usual. And then Riverlight and Aurora to close out the week. We agree on all 4 of our picks. I think Riverlight and Aurora have really established themselves as the 2 top teams in this division alongside Chicago City. I mean, those 3 teams are 3 of the best right now in the Heartland, if not the entire league. And then we get to the League 2, I should say, and it's a busy week for the men. 3 games in the next 7 days. It starts with St. Croix on Sunday. St. Croix will play again against Bavarian United on June 12th. June 13th, RKC and Minneapolis City will play here at Pritchard Park. And then it's a trip up to Canada for St. Croix. They play again against the Thunder Bay Chill on the 14th. And then on the 15th, it's Minneapolis City taking on Bavarian United. And then closing out the week on the 15th as well, Rochester and RKC. That one is an away game for you there. Paige, I mean, I know you haven't been to any of the men's. Have you been to any of the men's games this season?
I've not been able to, but I plan on going. Now that school is out.
There you go. Now that school's gone, getting out there to the park. I mean, talk about the stadium experience that RKC has. I mean, I like it because it's a great place to take pictures. I love, the rocks in the background or the trees on the other side. But what have you liked about Pritchard Park so far?
I like the locker rooms because they're big enough and you can all see each other. It's very clean stadium. There's bathrooms, very nice turf. Yeah, I love playing there.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll run through our predictions for this upcoming week. No predictions for the Sunday game, obviously. Then St. Croix against Bavarian United. This is a game that is going to happen this week and next week. I've gone with Bavarian United. You've gone with St. Croix. I mean, kind of the same sentiment as this week. Physical team. I think Karsten likes that physicality.
Yep.
No prediction for RKC Minneapolis City. And then you go with Thunder Bay against St. Croix in Canada. I've gone with a draw. I think, like you mentioned, the physicality I think will help St. Croix out there. We both go with Bavarian United SC against Minneapolis City. That game's already happened once this season. It was the opener of the League 2 season, and Bavarian won 1-0. So that one happens to be this upcoming week as well, that second game. Bavarian United, we saw them play in RKC, and it's always tough to watch a team that, you want to beat really badly, a rival in Bavarian, but they played really well on that lightning delay game. So it'll be interesting to see them play some other teams, get some film on them as well. Paige, for you, you were at the Riverlight game, right?
Yes.
And so that game, 65th minute, you're down by 4, and then the lightning delay happens. What's kind of the initial reaction from everyone in that locker room? Kind of what's the conversation going on? Because now the game stopped for 30 minutes at least. And so, what's kind of happening in that locker room as the delay goes on?
I think we were just regrouping and going over what we want to change or what we're going to come out this half, or was it halftime?
It was in the 65th minute, I think.
Yeah, it was 65th minute because we still had like 30 minutes left. But I think we were just, trying to go over our game plan of what we're gonna do to change it, and then after a while, then we started playing some games.
Yeah, I was gonna say. After a certain point, we were up there in the press box as well. It was just kind of got to the point where lightning kept on striking.
Yeah.
Like, well, the USL is probably not going to let this game finish.
Yeah.
And so after we get that call, it's like, well, it's tough, but it gives you a chance to get a little bit more rest going into Bavarian as well. You didn't have to play the full 90 only playing 65 minutes, and then you go against Bavarian and you get a draw to get things going in the USLW League season. Final question while we have you here, Paige, before we send it off. I mean, what are you excited about for the rest of the season now? You got Chicago Dutch Lions. Obviously, you won't be there, but then after that, to continue on this W League season, what are you most excited for about this season?
I'm excited to see how we go against our opponents. I think, the season started off and we were just finding our groove. And I think after this tie, we're motivated to win. And I think that momentum's just going to carry on.
All right, there it is. That's Paige Baird. Next week, we've got Rowan Capilla and Jaden Prado of the League 2 side. And finally, we want to thank our sponsors, as always, Carthage College, one of the sponsors for our equipment. Red Onion Racine is our post-game meal sponsor. Always love the food that Red Onion Racine brings us, Karsten. I know you do as well. We're always talking about it. What are we going to have after the game today?
Right.
Mosh Athletic Training, Ricardo, our athletic trainer. I want to thank him. Camp Shutouts, our safe sponsor. As always, stay tuned for post-game recaps with Camp Shutout. And finally, Visit Racine County, where we are right now, is our home goal sponsor. Paige, thanks for being along here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Karsten, Luedtke, Arnav, Pokhrel, you've just watched another episode of Talking 262. We'll see you next week. Rowan Capilla and Jaden Prado right here on the RKC Third Coast YouTube channel.